What's up, mi gente? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you guys how to create your own DJ logo using Photoshop and Illustrator. So a little background about me. I've been a designer for over 10 years now, and I actually started designing when I started DJing kind of around the same time. So I pretty much got good at designing and being a DJ, and therefore that helped me out throughout my career to do my own flyers, my own logo, and all that stuff. So now I'm a lot more refined as far as a designer, and I could give you guys some of my knowledge to create your own logo. We're going to use Photoshop, which is a raster based software, and Illustrator, which is a vector based. Just to make it a little simpler to understand, raster effects don't scale as good as vector. Vector effects scale as big as you want, so they don't lose any resolution, any sharpness or anything. So that's a good thing about vector graphics. Before we get started, you will need Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator. The version of the software may not matter too much, but the concepts are still the same, and the knowledge should apply to any version you may have. We're gonna get started. Please feel free to share with anybody that might need help with creating their own DJ logo. Anything else, just leave it in the comments below, and I'll make sure to respond as quick as I can. Thank you for watching, and let's get started. All right, so before you start, you want to make sure you start with a new document. 5x5 is fine, 300 pixels, RGB, white background, that's all good. Hit create. So I'm going to start with Photoshop because I think this is like the most common software that many people may have or may just be familiar with. So before we get started, I do want to show you guys some examples of logos that are already made. And it's always a good idea to look at the logos from established DJs such as David Guetta and Diplo, Avicii. You got Neo. I don't even know Neo DJ. Major Lazer. Just all the major players. Take a look at them. And what is one thing you see in common? I would say that they're all really easy to recognize, right? There's nothing complex going on. Of course, they all have their characteristics, but they are one color and they're all words. You don't see a lot of like images or graphics or any kind of funny stuff. I mean, and don't get me wrong, that is okay to do. The logo's intention is not to tell the people what you do, is to identify yourself, in the sea of logos out there of DJs or anything. So you have to make it memorable and simple. That's the key right there. And it's okay to evoke an emotion in it, but for the most part, you just want it to be simple and memorable, something people will remember. When I see that are memorable is Avicii. Avicii uses these letters that look like really futuristic, I would say. Yeah, it looks really futuristic. It looks in a way abstract. It almost looks like a different language, like it came from a different planet. So that's really memorable. It's something that people will remember. It's like, oh yeah, that logo that just looks like Alien wrote it or something. So those are things to keep in mind. Also, what these guys are doing, and I'm not sure if this is the actual final logo as far as their primary colors, their brand colors, but in this is a good example because this is simple, all white logos. So every brand has their primary, secondary, and so on as far as logos. The colors of the logo will vary depending on the situation that they need to be used in. So in this example, this is probably just an example of when Las Vegas DJs are under that or play under that establishment. They want all the DJs to be on the same plane. All right, so let's get started. So now you have a little background of what good logos are. So I'm just gonna freestyle this, and I'm just gonna write something here. So let's say my name is DJ Capture. I don't know. Center this bad boy. So fonts is one thing that you have to keep in mind. When you're designing a logo, you definitely don't want to go too retro and do something like Arial, because it's a very overused font. And if we want to make this simple to understand, like I said before, you need to have something that's memorable and simple. But Arial has been used a million times, so you probably want to stay away from that one. So one way I would start is copy your name a few times. I would do two versions. I would do one version, it's all caps, and one version is lower caps, because this will give us more variations. A good way to start exploring how your logo can look is by creating a few copies of your logo and make sure one of them is all caps and the other one is lower caps. This is just so we can see variations in the font and what can look cool and what works, what doesn't for you. It's all depending on what your taste is. So start with the first one and go through some fonts. I'm just going to pick some random fonts that look pretty cool. And also, guys, keep in mind that whatever your final logo will be, there is no per se rules of how you can design it. This is just my take on how you can design it. But at the end of the day, whatever you want to make, whatever you think talks to you, that's what your logo is going to look like. So feel proud of it and stick with it. Okay, so here was 2, 4, 6, 8. So here's 8 variations of the logo. As you can see with the all caps, it's definitely a different vibe, different look. And also with the lower cap logos, you have different variations as well. And actually some look pretty cool. Like, I actually like this one a lot. This has a pretty nice look. This is a Typographica logo. For the uppercase one, I actually like all of them. They're all pretty unique. These look pretty similar, so I might change this one. I think I found something else that was pretty cool here. This one, Prohibition. There you go. So that one's pretty cool. So we have our 8 variations. Now there are different types of logo that you can create. One way is that you can just keep these as is. The final will just be a word mark, which is just a logo that is composed with letters or words. And the second kind could be an icon with a word mark combination. So what I mean by that is, let's say your final logo will have some type of imagery that goes with the final logo. All right, so what I mean by word mark and an icon combination is something like this, where you have some type of imagery that connects with your word mark. And the good thing about this is that later on you could drop the DJ capture and this could stand on its own to represent the brand. So this is a really cool idea if you want to incorporate imagery, if you want to incorporate something that's memorable and later on you can use for other marketing materials such as hats and apparel or flyers or whatnot. So let's start with just the word mark. Okay. This first logo is pretty cool, looks futuristic, and a few things you could do to modify it and make it more unique is changing the kerning, or in other words, changing the space between the letters. So you go to change that, you go here, drag the slider. You can make it look a little different. You don't want to go too much because then it'll be too abstract and you won't be able to tell what it says. So you definitely want to make sure it's readable from close up to far away. So for now, I'm going to keep it at around 10. 10's fine. That one's cool. I'll keep that one as a yes. Second, this one looks pretty cool too. It has unique characteristics in the letters. This is definitely something that could stand out. We'll keep that one. Third one, this one's pretty cool too because it has somewhat of a chiseled characteristics. It gives it a unique vibe. Somewhat of a college DJ or something of that sort. But keep in mind that doesn't necessarily mean that you're a college DJ. It just gives it that vibe. And keep in mind that also can affect the type of viewers that are looking at your logos. Fourth one is really unique because it's sort of like a hand painted logo with these strokes. So that makes it very unique as well. Let's look at the lower caps. So the lower caps are cool too because as you can see, it takes on a different vibe. Maybe we could capitalize a D, J. I kind of don't like this part. Let's see what the capital J looks like. No. So for example, this to me wouldn't work. This has a repetitive stroke here, just like the D. And yeah, that doesn't work for me. You could go further and modify this in a vector-based format, but for now we're going to keep it simple and just exclude this one from the list. Let's go with this one. So this one's pretty cool. Has a lot of cool, unique characteristics like this D. And always feel free to play with it, you know, see what D looks like. Okay, looks all right. Let's go with uppercase J. That's actually not bad. That could work. Capital C maybe. Not sure about that. Possibly. What if all these were caps? I prefer if they're all lowercase, I think. So it's actually not bad. We would have to mess with the kerning on this DJ. So I'd probably highlight these two and then lower the kerning. Looks pretty good. Probably want a little space between J and C. Looks about right. Something like that. That looks pretty unique. That's something that we could probably use, and it won't be the generic just using the typography that it comes with. Probably use a little more space in between these letters, but that's all about refining. So probably, there you go. Something like that. So we'll keep that one as a possibility. Third one is this one right here. This one looks all right. I feel like I've seen this one plenty of times as well. This one has, and other things you could do to make it unique is maybe bold DJ and then the rest could be regular. It's another little trick. You can make it go capital caps on the DJ. That could work. What does this look like? Capital C. It's not too bad. Yeah, let's keep that one as a possibility. Last but not least is this one right here. And let's play with the D. Looks pretty decent. That looks pretty decent. All caps. I don't think I like all caps. Maybe, let's see. No. Yeah, this probably have to be all caps. And we could probably keep that as capitalize this one. Good right there. Okay. So we have a few variations. All right, once you find a font that resonates with you, such as this one, that's when you can start doing a little more to it and make it very unique. So in this example, I'm probably gonna add a few elements such as a rectangular box, just to see what that does. Take off the stroke. And let's say blue for now. No, let's say gray or yellow. Let's do yellow. Move this under. And actually, to keep this simple, let's just do black and the letters white. So you don't want to start playing with colors just yet until you have something final or close to final. Okay, so that looks pretty cool. Make the text a little smaller. Want to make sure there's enough space if you have it inside of a little square like this, or I mean rectangle. It's pretty good. A little smaller. I'm just resizing the sides over here. Looks pretty good. I like it. So something like this could be simple and memorable. As you can see, we didn't do too much. If you want to get a little more creative, I mean, you could start introducing shapes. For example, I'll go here and go to custom shapes. And you can look at variations of shapes. And you could even add more shapes if you want. This is just to make it a little more interesting or abstract. I'm trying to choose something that doesn't look too corny. So, drawing an arrow. So with this one, I could probably modify this shape. Use a direct selection tool. Probably gonna get rid of this circle. Deleting all these points. We're probably just gonna stick with this arrow. And we can start playing with this. Probably make this bigger. Center it. Title this arrow. Just gonna make it a little bigger. It's actually not bad. It's always good to combine abstract symbols or designs to a name because that'll be memorable. And it doesn't necessarily say what this business is about, which is good. Let's see, maybe we want to fill this one with black, remove this stroke. That looks pretty cool. I make it a little smaller. Yeah. And who can you say that has an arrow pointing up for their logo? I don't think many people. So let me just center this up. So let's say I like this logo and this is my logo. Once you're done, you can start getting ready. Then you can save it in the various formats that you'll need. But before we do that, let's add some color. So another tool that I use is actually from Adobe as well, and that's Adobe Color. So let's bring that up. So here it is. And with this one, this is pretty cool because you could find different combinations of colors that'll help you determine which one will be the one you're going to use, or just combine, or just have ideas. So let's say, for example, I like this one. I'll copy this color right here, just hit copy. and it'll save the hex code. So for example, I want to color this square to that color, double click. It's already highlighted, so Control V to paste. That looks pretty cool. Now let's see, maybe I want this to stay black. And it's also good to make copies so you can look at different variations. So let's do a copy. So I'm going to move this up on this layer, Control J, then move this down. So maybe for this variation, I'm going to make the arrow that color, keep this one black. So now we have two variations. And let's do one more just to see what we got. So actually, let's do two more. J, then move them over here. Okay. And for this one, let's choose this orange. Let's change that one to orange and the arrow to orange. Okay, what else do we got? Let's choose a different color. Let's go with this one. Let's do this red. Change this one to red. We could go with this one, maybe this yellow. About that, let's do this dark red maybe. Maybe not. Let's see what else we got. All right, so for this one, I'm going to try this blue. Or just keep it all red. All right, so now we have 4 variations. So let's look at them one by one. That's not bad. This one I might have to skip. Don't really like it. This one's not too bad. This is not too bad either. All right, so we have 3 variations. You will want to pick one. So let's look at them all in one page. Okay. So I'm probably gonna go with this one. I like this one the most. Okay. So let's get rid of all the other ones. So that's one variation. Now what we want to do is make it as big as this square is. Like so. And then we're going to save it in the formats that are commonly used. So I'm going to go to this file. Save as. Make sure you put it under your final files. And I will do JPEG as the first version. Baseline 12 is fine. And also, if you want to use this without the background, so you have a transparent background, just hide the background layer by clicking on this eye. And we can go save as. Sure is under final. Then go to PNG. Then save. And that is fine. And now you have 2 versions that you can use. Simple as that. And also keep in mind that you don't necessarily have to have some type of icon or symbol. You could also just have a logo without that. So that would be just this red box and this type. So what I'm going to do here is center this logo. I'm going to crop this in so that when I save it, there's not all this dead space around. So I'm going to hit C on the keyboard to crop, hold Alt and then click and drag. And I'd say about there's fine. Hit enter. Okay. And we're going to save one as JPEG. So save as, final, and JPEG. And we'll put this one as version 2. Save. And same for PNG. Save as, final, PNG, and version 2. Okay, so now we have two formats that can work in most situations. You know, the PNG, you want to use it for situations where you don't want any background to be shown and you want some transparencies. And the JPEG could be anywhere, such as flyers or just almost anything. Okay, so let's move on to Illustrator now. All right, so now we're in Illustrator. And Illustrator is a lot better for designing logos because, like I said earlier, you're using vector-based graphics, which are easy to scale and scale large, versus raster effects, which don't scale as good, and you start losing resolution once you start really pushing it to the extent. For this example, I'm just gonna show you the powerful tools that Illustrator can offer you when you're designing your logo. And we're actually gonna skip all the other steps from the previous video because this is just to show you the flexibility that Illustrator has in designing. So in Illustrator, you could do a lot more things with type or any graphics or objects, just because you can move points in the actual graphic and make them a lot more interesting or custom to you, to your brand. So what we're gonna do is just look for a logo that looks pretty good. DJ capture, let's see. So DJ capture, right? So what we can do with Illustrator is we're gonna select it, go to type, and create outlines. And once you create it to outlines, you won't be able to change the wording because now they're all converted into lines, as you can see right here. And that means you can change every little detail about it. So for example, I'll choose the direct selection tool, draw a box, select these 2 points, click, then hit shift and drag, and you could change the properties of every characteristic on this design, which means you can make it a lot more custom to what you want to do. Just make it a lot more memorable. So in this example, let me make a box right here, and maybe we can extrude the E as well. So direct selection tool, draw a box around this, click, then hit shift, leave shift pressed, and then drag it. Cool, that looks different. Drag this same. That looks cool. And maybe I want to add a abstract symbol or something, say a circle. And Illustrator, this, you can do so many things with Illustrator, it's insane, but I'm not going to get into every little thing you can do because it would be infinitely vast. But let's say maybe I want a halo, a D with the halo in it. Let's draw a D. Actually, let me use the same D that's here. I'm gonna copy it. Make this one white so I can see what I'm doing. So I like this. I'm just gonna maybe move it so it reaches the outside bounding boxes of the circle. Select this one, gonna center it. So that's pretty cool. I'm just gonna move it a little more to the edge. That's not bad. Maybe I can make this smaller. Move this to the edge. Grab these 2 points. Bam. Actually looks like a finger. Just keep this simple. Let's keep this one simple. That looks cool. This looks like a kind of like a C in a way, doesn't it? It's actually a D in there. Actually, let's move these inside of each other, and I'm going to make this smaller. Center it. Click these 2 points, and I'm going to make these curves a little more rounded, like so. That's fine. I'm just trying to make some kind of icon that can go with it. I'm going to group these, then I'm going to center them on the page. I'm going to grab both of these, group them, center in the page, like so. I want to make sure that the spacing is also not too far away, something like that. So another thing that you can do also to have variations of your logo is have different orientations. So what I'll do here is I'm going to copy this logo, group these 2 elements, then I'm going to move this one here, probably make it a little smaller. Align these and move it closer. Group these 2, then align them to the center of the page. And there you go. Now you have 2 variations of that same logo. Now to take this even further is I'm going to add the opposite color of each one. So what I mean by that is that I'm going to change this black into white, so you can use this in situations where there's black backgrounds. Therefore, you need something that stands out. So what I usually like to do is I create a black box here on the second page. That way you can separate everything that you're going to be doing on there. And I usually lock it so I can't accidentally touch it. So I'm going to grab these 2 and drag them over here. Okay. I can see there's a fill on this one. Just to make everything easier, I'm just gonna hide this layer for now. Okay. Let me just center this because I'm like a center freak. Okay. Group. Okay, so since we're gonna have a black background, we're gonna change anything that's black to white, right? So let's ungroup these so we can easily select them. Group. You can also use Shift Control G to ungroup. So we're gonna group all these, okay? Now we're gonna turn these to white. So select them, hit white. Select these, hit white. Now, for example, this one has a white fill on this D. So there's 2 things we can do. We can either reverse this color, white to black, and this one to white, or we can also cut a shape into this white so that this shape becomes white. So I'll show you an example of what I mean. You want to open Pathfinder, have this one selected, then shift click this one, Then you're gonna do minus front. Now this one is cut out. You'll see right now. So I'm gonna select it, hit white to fill in white, and then we're gonna turn on our background layer, and bam, now you have a color that can change, that will stay white, but you will see through any color right here. So for example, if I put a different color right here, I'm just gonna fill this one as orange or something. Move this one to the back so you can see that this color passes through, so it's transparent. On this other example, if we don't want that, what we're gonna do is keep this one as a fill, but we do want to change the color of the circle. So let's say this one is black and this one is white, right? Then we're gonna bring back the black. There you go. Therefore, if there's any colors that are not black or different color tones, this will stay black. So just keep that in mind. It might not be ideal for some cases, but sometimes it's important to keep the original colors within elements like that. But maybe your safe bet will be using this method. Just make sure that it works well with other backgrounds, because there's some objects that don't look as good if you're reversing the colors from black to white or white to black. So just play around and see what works best for you. Once you're done, I'm just gonna make a new artboard to save it. So Shift O is the shortcut. Then I hit this little artboard, drag it out, reshape it so it kind of goes with what the size of that logo is going to be. Hit V to click out, and then I'm going to grab this one because this is the one that we like the most. Group it up. I'm just going to copy it over so this copy stays over. And for now, I'm just going to color this one black. Again, I'm going to center this one. Make it big. Then I'm probably gonna Shift O, hold Alt, click and drag to reshape this. Hit V to exit. And then I have this one ready to save. So a way to save it in different formats at one time is by going to File, Export for screens. And then you need to choose the one you want to export. So I'm going to deselect these. That's the one I want to export. And then I'm going to title this DJ Capture. And I'm just going to put BLK for black, because this is the black version. I'm going to save this in Finals. And then this is where you can specify what type of formats or sizes you want. So I definitely want a PDF version. Then I'm gonna do a PNG, which once again has no backgrounds, transparent. And then I'm gonna do one more, which is JPEG. So JPEG 100. So this one's gonna be 2500 pixels, JPEG. And once you hit export, it will export this one with all these settings in one shot. So we're gonna hit export. As you can see, this one was exported right here. DJ Capture Black. This one is the JPEG 2500 by 528. Then we got the PDF version and the JPEG version. Now we also want to save a white version just in case we need to use this in darker background situations. So I'm just going to click on this and hit white. And now it's all white. And the same thing, File, Export for screens. Make sure this one's selected, and then I'm going to change the ending of this title to WHT, or you could just spell it out. It's not a big deal, white. and the settings are already saved, so I don't have to do anything to that. You probably don't need a JPEG because the JPEG will just flatten everything and it'll just be like a white block of nothing, just white block. You won't even be able to tell what it says. So I'm just gonna remove JPEG right here and then have PDF, PNG. Those are fine. Hit export. Okay, done. An example of how you can use these logos that we just created is I'm going to place one on top of a graphic, and to determine what you need or which one you want to use is you need to look at the graphic first and see what kind of tones are there. So this looks like it could use a graphic that has white, so it stands out in this black area. I probably want to put it right here somewhere. So I'm going to go to the one we just saved. I would probably go with the PDF. It keeps the vector information, so that one's a lot better than the PNG. So I'm going to drag it in here, hit OK, and then you can put this anywhere you want. As you can see, it stands out pretty well. Probably going to drag this, probably going to make it a little bigger. Double click when you're ready. There you go. I'm gonna drag, and this one, since we did it in Illustrator, it retains that vector information, so you could resize it as much as you want and it won't lose any resolution. See, as big as I want, it's still sharp. I can make it small again if I want. Same thing, stay sharp. And that's about it, really. All right, thank you guys for watching. I hope that was useful. I know it might not be as simple as you thought, but I did want to give you guys a how-to on create your own logo. Coming up as a DJ, I know these things are really needed, and you know, anybody that wants to take this seriously wants to have a logo so they could make their own hats, their own shirts or whatnot, and promote yourself. So I hope you found this useful. If you did, please hit that like button, subscribe, and tell another DJ for me. And that's about it. Keep mixing it up, keep doing your thing, hit them live streams. You know, everybody's on there right now, so promote yourself. You feel me? Promote yourself. All right. Hey. Oh yeah, don't forget to follow me, DJ Live 408.